Yes, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope the screen is perfectly clear. Yes, everybody. Good morning to one and all present over here. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to yet another supremely amazing last minute super revision series, both in Neet 2021 on the NCRT extract on the chapter Chemical Coordination and Integration. Yes, let me reduce the echo. Yes, once again, let me refresh the page so that I could see your chats clearly. If anyone is there, good morning, Calvin. Good morning. Yes, so today we are going to start with the NCRT extract last minute super revision of the chapter coordination and chemical coordination and integration. So this should be a one shot session, and here we will be discussing each and every point which comes under this chapter of endocrine glands, that is chemical coordination and integration, which is actually mentioned in your NCRT for you guys to refer. I hope you all can hear me properly. Just give me thumbs up on the chat box. Just give me thumbs up on the chat box, everyone. If the screen is visible, if my voice is clear, just give me thumbs up on the chat box. Yes, thank you so much, Calvin. So let's get started for this session. This is our amazing Telegram group at t.me/neet_biopoint, where daily session updates, regular discussion, polls, and you can interact with our teachers at this wonderful Telegram group at t.me/neet_biopoint. Don't forget to hit the like button, to share it with your friends, and subscribe our wonderful YouTube channel of BioPoint, stream the world of bio. So don't forget once again to hit the like button, share it, and subscribe. So let's get started with this amazing chapter of chemical coordination and integration. I hope you all can see the screen clearly. Yes, I hope you can see the screen clear. Yes, everyone. Is the writings clearly visible to each one of you? Absolutely perfect. So let's get started with this amazing chapter of chemical coordination and integration. So as we have already discussed that there are mainly our body needs to be controlled and coordinated, right? So our body requires control and coordination. So when I taught the detailed lecture also, I told you this control and coordination is mainly brought inside our body by mainly two main systems, that is the neural system and the endocrine system. So this endocrine system and the neural system performs the function of coordination and control of all the body structures. So neural system and endocrine system controls and coordinates all the functioning of the physiological functionings of the body. But what is the limitation for neural system, and why is there a need for endocrine system? So neural system is generally short-lived. Neural system is generally short-lived, but the advantage is it is fast. Okay, so neural system is fast, but it is short-lived. But in case of endocrine coordination or chemical coordination, what happens is that the cellular needs, what happens? The endocrine glands are long. Okay, they are long lived, but they takes place slowly only because they have to be stimulated. The hormones have to be secreted, so there must be an initial delay. But once it is secreted, that process will be continuous. So neural system is fast, but it is short-lived in nature. That is why there is a need for all the humans, all the mammals, all the living organisms to have an endocrine system also for the chemical coordination. Right? So In endocrine glands, we are mainly studying about what is actually the term glands refers to. What is actually the term glands refers to? Glands are any structures that produces one or other secretions that affects the body functioning. So glands are certain structures which helps in or which secrete, which are involved in the secretion of certain substances that directly or indirectly affect the normal functioning of the body. So glands can mainly be classified into exocrine gland and endocrine gland. So glands can mainly be classified into exocrine and endocrine gland. What is actually meant by exocrine gland? Exocrine gland means they are the ducted gland. They are the ducted gland. They secrete, their secretion of exocrine gland or ducted gland is called enzymes. Whereas in case of endocrine gland, they are the ductless gland. Endocrine glands are ductless glands and their secretion is known as hormones. So about the detailed study of enzymes and all we have completed in the initial chapters of human physiology itself. In digestive system itself, we came across a couple of enzymes over there. So in this chapter of endocrine system, we are going to deal with hormones. Okay. So the ductless gland and the hormones are the topic which we are going to discuss over in this chapter. Is it clear? Give me thumbs up on the chat box. Yes, everyone. I hope it's clear. Yes. Yes, Calvin. Thank you so much. Yes. So let's get started with the slides over here. So let's move on with the slides. So what is actually endocrine glands? What is actually endocrine gland? They are the ductless gland that secrete hormones directly into the bloodstream. They secrete they secrete hormones. Okay, exocrine gland produces enzymes that are directly poured into certain duct. For example, we have studied, right, the bile duct, the pancreatic duct, all these duct name we have studied, right? So they are all enzymes which are produced by the exocrine glands of our body and they are secreted directly into the duct. They have specified duct to carry their secretion. But in case of endocrine glands, the ductless glands that secrete hormones, they are directly poured into the bloodstream. They are directly poured into the bloodstream. So their secretion is known as hormones. What are hormones? So you have to remember these two things. Okay, what are enzymes and what are hormones? Just remember, enzymes are acting as biocatalysts. Enzymes are acting as biological catalyst or biocatalyst. Then what are hormones? Simply we can tell that enzymes are biocatalysts and hormones are the chemical messengers of the body. And enzymes are the biocatalysts and hormones are the chemical messengers of the body. So what are actually hormones? They are the non-nutrient chemicals which are synthesized in trace amount. What is meant by trace? Trace means minute amount. They are produced in a very low amount by the endocrine glands that act as intracellular messenger and are specific in their action, which are transported by blood from site of production to the action. That is, the hormones, once they are secreted directly into the bloodstream, so they do not have a specific duct to carry their secretion. So the blood transport this particular secretion to different places so that it becomes available to its particular structure that requires its action or that is benefited by its function. Clear? Next, we are going to enter into some basic concepts. So I'm going to tell you some basic concepts. So listen very carefully. Over here. So you have to study that endocrine glands in this chapter as we have been telling, right? So endocrine glands is equivalent to what? Ductless gland. This was a previous year MCQ question. So glands can mainly be classified into. So the options were given: option A, exocrine and endocrine; option B, exocrine and ductless gland; option C, apocrine, holocrine glands, and option D, both A and B. So at that particular exam, the correct answer was both A and B, because glands can be classified into ductless gland, ducted gland, which is equivalent to endocrine glands as well as exocrine gland. Okay, so most of the students, after reading out the questions, since option 1 itself was exocrine and endocrine gland, what they have done, they have marked the option 1 without reading the further one, because in option 2 also the same thing was given but in a slightly different manner. In the second option it was given like exocrine gland and ductless gland. What is actually ductless gland? Similar to endocrine gland itself. So the answer would have both A and B could be the answer. So that was the actually the option. So please read the options carefully before you attend it. So as we have already studied that hormones are the secretion of endocrine glands. So if you want me to repeat any point, if you are taking any short notes, and if you want me to repeat any point which I am not doing it on the slides, please say on the chat box to repeat. I'll repeat the sentence once again so that you can take the notes also along with me. So hormones are the secretion of endocrine glands, which can be best defined as the non-nutrient chemical which are produced by endocrine glands in very trace or minute amount that act as chemical messengers, which are released directly into the bloodstream and that acts on the target organ. Very important, you have to study that hormones are non-nutrient chemicals which are produced in trace amounts. They are produced by what? Endocrine glands that act as intracellular messengers which are transported by blood from the site to the site of action. Endocrine system of invertebrates is very minute or very simple with very few hormones. In case of invertebrates, I told all living organism, right? So in case of invertebrates, okay, in case of invertebrates, the endocrine system is simple with very less hormone. The endocrine system is very simple with very low hormone, a very less number of hormones. But the endocrine system of vertebrates is very complex. So what is the opposite of simple? Definitely it is complex, with multiple hormones secreted by each part, which serves different functions, out of which some of their functions are well coordinated to each other. Yes, so in this chapter, we will be studying about nearly so many kinds of endocrine glands, out of which some of them are hypothalamus, pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, thymus, gonads, that is testis in males and ovary in female. In addition, we would be studying some other parts of the body also that in certain condition behaves as an endocrine gland itself. For example, the gastrointestinal tract, the liver, the kidney, the heart, etc. can in some time they can behave as endocrine gland also, but we cannot call them like pancreas as a exocrine gland, because simultaneously they won't be having the function to produce both enzymes and hormone. It is only function of pancreas inside the body that it is a exocrine or heterocrine gland, that is they can produce simultaneously in one enzyme preparing part they can produce enzyme, and in the hormone preparing cells, that is islets of Langerhans, they can prepare what? Hormones as well. Okay, yes everyone, so let's get into hypothalamus. So let's get into the first one, the first endocrine gland, that is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, it is a basal part of diencephalon. What is diencephalon? Prosencephalon, mesencephalon, telencephalon, all these things we would study in the chapter neural control and coordination. Just understand that it is a basal part of diencephalon, which is actually a part of forebrain. Just understand that diencephalon is a part of forebrain. So hypothalamus is located in the basal part of the forebrain or diencephalon. The hypothalamus has certain neurosecretory cells which are called nuclei, which is actually producing hormones that regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary gland hormone. So what is the function of hypothalamus? What is actually the function of hypothalamus? Hypothalamus, the function of hypothalamus is it controls the release of hormones, it controls pituitary gland, it controls the pituitary gland. Is it clear? Is it clear? Hit the chat box with the thumbs up. So hypothalamus is actually an endocrine gland which is formed at the basal part of diencephalon or the forebrain. It has certain neurosecretory cells called nuclei which produces hormones to regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary gland hormone. It doesn't have only the function of control of pituitary gland, but also it acts as a relay station for thirst and hunger. It also acts as a relay station for thirst and hunger. It is because of the presence of hypothalamus why we are feeling like thirsty. We are feeling that we are feeling hungry. All these things are because of the presence of hypothalamus. Yes, Calvin, very good. Next, we are moving on to the two different types of hormones which are released by hypothalamus. That is releasing hormone and inhibiting hormone. What are two things? Releasing hormone and inhibiting hormone. So hypothalamus mainly produces two kinds of hormone, that is releasing hormone and inhibiting hormone. Releasing hormone means that secretes or that stimulates the secretion of pituitary hormone. For example, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Yes, Dima. How are you? How is your studies going, Dima? Seeing after a long time. So gonadotropin releasing hormone, it stimulates the secretion, it stimulates the pituitary to synthesis and secrete gonadotropin. So gonadotropin releasing hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, yes, as how Calvin has mentioned, GnRH. Very important. GnRH is actually a stimulating hormone or releasing hormone which is prepared by hypothalamus that stimulates a pituitary gland to synthesis and secrete the gonadotropins. Next, inhibiting hormone are those that inhibits the secretion of pituitary hormone. For example, somatostatin. For example, somatostatin which inhibits the secretion of growth hormone. So somatostatin, it inhibits the secretion of growth hormone. Clear? So let me tell you some important points also. So hypothalamus, it forms the basal part of diencephalon, which is a part of forebrain. Hypothalamus possesses several nuclei group of neurosecretory cells that produce various hormones to regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary hormone. I hope you all have your NCRT text in your hand right now. I'm not right now taking my NCRT and I'm reading the important points which you have to get highlighted right now. Clear? Which I want each one of you to get it highlighted right now. Which are the points which I am telling. So hypothalamus possesses several nuclei, that is the neurosecretory cell. Neurosecretory cells, which is nuclei which produces hormones that helps in the synthesis and secretion of pituitary gland hormones. Hypothalamic hormones are of two types. So there are mainly two types of hypothalamic hormone. First one is the releasing hormone. Second one is the inhibiting hormone. That is, the releasing hormone is gonadotropin. Releasing hormone is an example that stimulates the secretion of pituitary hormone. Inhibitory hormone means it inhibits the secretion of pituitary hormones. So hypothalamus, secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormone, its stimulation of the pituitary gland, increased release and synthesis of gonadotropins. Exactly, the inhibiting hormone are they inhibit the hormonal secretion of the pituitary gland. So hypothalamus releases the somatostatin, which inhibits the release of growth hormone from the pituitary gland. Is it clear? Is it clear for everyone? I hope it's pakka clear to each and everyone because I have repeated the same thing 3 or 4 times. Sure, Calvin. Surely we will send the note. Okay. Sure. I'll give you both NCRT extract as well as this particular slide PDF also will be made available. Yes. So next endocrine gland we are going to discuss is all about the pituitary gland. What is the other term for pituitary gland? Pituitary gland is known as the master gland of our body. Pituitary gland is known as the master gland of our body. It is located in a bony cavity which is called sella turcica. So pituitary gland is located in the bony cavity called as sella turcica. It is attached to the hypothalamus. It is attached to the hypothalamus by a stalk. So pituitary gland can mainly be classified into two, that is adenohypophysis, which is the anterior lobe, and the neurohypophysis, which is the posterior lobe. You have to remember this important point. Posterior lobe is under the direct control. Okay, posterior gland is under the direct control of hypothalamus, exactly as Calvin said. Master of masters gland is hypothalamus because hypothalamus controls and coordinates the functioning of the master gland of our body. So pituitary gland is mainly divided, can be mainly classified into adenohypophysis or the anterior lobe and neurohypophysis or the posterior lobe. So in the posterior lobe is under the direct control of hypothalamus. Is it clear? Is it clear? Let me check over a blank slide. Yes. Yes, good. So, guys, please listen very carefully. I'm going to give you a mind map. So, the pituitary gland, which is known as the master gland of our body. So, the pituitary gland is known as the master gland of our body. So, the pituitary gland can mainly, the parts of pituitary gland can mainly be divided into three. First of all, let me have a basic classification. After that, let's move on to the next one. Right? So, mainly, as we have discussed, the pituitary gland can be mainly classified into two types, which you already know. What is the already known classification? That is, you already know they can be classified as adenohypophysis. Adenohypophysis. And the second part is the neurohypophysis. Okay, adenohypophysis and the neurohypophysis. So adenohypophysis can again be classified into two different parts. Let me draw that particular part a bit ahead. So there are a number of hormones for the first part. So this is the second part, and neurohypophysis is also known as one more thing. So adenohypophysis can mainly be classified into pars distalis, pars distalis, pars intermedia, pars distalis, pars intermedia, and the last part is pars nervosa. Okay, so all these writing things you can take it by yourself. Clear, everyone? So, pars distalis, first part is pars distalis, second part is pars intermedia, third part is pars nervosa. So, adenohypophysis can mainly be classified into two, pars distalis and pars intermedia. Neurohypophysis can be classified into pars nervosa. So, pars distalis secrete the following hormones, that is growth hormone GH. Second one is prolactin, PRL. Just study this short form also, which can be asked as abbreviation in the question paper. So growth hormone, prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone or TSH. Next one, adrenocorticotropic hormone, that is ACTH. Fifth one, luteinizing hormone, LH. So the sixth one is the follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, I'll write it over here. And the sixth one is follicle stimulating hormone or FSH. Clear? Yes, now it's perfect. So growth hormone, prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone, ACTH, luteinizing hormone, and the follicle stimulating hormone. Is it clear? And the pars intermedia secrete one particular hormone which is actually associated with the melanin pigment, that is the melanocyte stimulating hormone. What is MSH? That is melanocyte stimulating hormone. So growth hormone, prolactin, TSH, ACTH, LH and FSH are secreted by anterior pituitary, that is pars distalis or adenohypophysis. Pars intermedia secrete one hormone only, that is a melanocyte stimulating hormone. Then, this is very important. The pars nervosa has two main hormones, that is oxytocin. Oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin and vasopressin, two hormones by pars nervosa or directly the posterior pituitary gland. These hormones, okay, actually both these hormones, okay, actually both of these hormones, that is oxytocin and vasopressin, they are actually produced by the master of masters gland, that is hypothalamus. Okay, actually the oxytocin and vasopressin are produced by the hypothalamus, but hypothalamus cannot release it. So these hormones are transported into the pars nervosa from the hypothalamus for storage and release. So releasing of oxytocin and vasopressin is done by pituitary, the posterior pituitary gland. Okay, so these hormones are actually synthesized by the hypothalamus and are transported to the neurohypophysis by the hypothalamic neuron. Yes, everyone. Yes, Calvin, both pars distalis and pars intermedia both can be clubbed and called as adenohypophysis, but mainly we will call pars distalis as the anterior pituitary because it is more common in its function. And moreover, if you look at it, the diagram of pituitary gland also, we won't be able to see a particular division like pars intermedia. In all the diagrams, we will not be able to see. So we'll definitely tell adenohypophysis. That's why we are telling like adenohypophysis is the anterior pituitary gland, and in most of the books and most of the authors also doesn't mention about the, and most of the pituitary Sorry. And most of the authors also doesn't mention about the pars intermedia in their books. So when you refer, you will not be able to see like that. So pars distalis can also come as what? Anterior pituitary. So this kind of question will never be asked for the exam. If this can be asked also, you can write pars distalis as the anterior pituitary because it is more common in function because it's secreting nearly 6 to 7 hormones. Clear, everyone? So let's move back into the slides, everyone. I hope it's perfectly clear for each one of you. Yes. What we were discussing about this one, right? Yes. Hormones are released from hypothalamic neurons, reach anterior pituitary through the portal system through the neurons in the posterior pituitary. Very important statement, very important one. The posterior pituitary is under the direct control of hypothalamus. Okay, last sentence is very important. Posterior pituitary is under the direct control of hypothalamus. Absolutely, Dima. It is actually merged with the parts distalis. That is why many books you fail to see that particular part known as pars intermedia. Is it clear? So let's move on with the next one. So the pituitary gland. So next we are going to study about the classification of pituitary gland. Okay. Yes, everyone, you may have a bit disturbance from the sound, external noise coming, but I'm really sorry for that. Okay. Festivals is going on the temple. So actually that's the sound over here. So I'll try to speak a bit loud so that it's made visible to everyone. So pituitary gland can be mainly classified into adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Look in the slide, everyone. In the slide also it is mentioned as what? It is mentioned like the pituitary gland can be mainly classified into adenohypophysis, which is the anterior lobe, and the neurohypophysis or the posterior lobe. Okay, neurohypophysis or the posterior lobe. Is it clear? So, what is actually the function of neurohypophysis or the posterior lobe? It is actually stores the hormone secreted by the hypothalamus. It stores the hormone which is secreted by the hypothalamus. Adenohypophysis can mainly be classified into pars distalis and pars intermedia. Pars distalis and pars intermedia. Neurohypophysis can also be known as pars nervosa. Is it clear? So, pars distalis secrete the following hormones such as the growth hormone or GH, PRL or the prolactin, TSH or the thyroid stimulating hormone, ACTH or adrenocorticotropic hormone, LH or luteinizing hormone, FSH or follicle stimulating hormone. So the pars intermedia secrete a particular hormone known as MSH or melanocyte stimulating hormone. The pars nervosa, that is posterior pituitary, stores and releases two hormones of hypothalamus, that is actually oxytocin and vasopressin. Okay, oxytocin and vasopressin. Is it clear for everyone? So I've used different colors to label each of the labelings. Next we are going to, oh my god, it went like something else. Absolutely, I can do this. So next we are going to discuss about the adenohypophysis. So the next term that we are going to discuss about the adenohypophysis. First one is the growth hormone. So first one is the growth hormone. Over secretion of growth hormone leads to gigantism. Very important. Over secretion of growth hormone leads to gigantism. And low secretion of growth hormone leads to dwarfism. Growth hormone less or deficient growth hormone leads to dwarfism. Over secretion leads to gigantism. And proper reaction leads to proper growth of the body. Second hormone is the prolactin. So prolactin actually functions for the growth of mammary gland and for the formation of milk. So growth of mammary gland and formation of milk inside the mammary gland is regulated by the prolactin hormone. Third one is the thyroid stimulating hormone. It stimulates synthesize the secretion of thyroid hormones from the thyroid gland. So what is the function of thyroid stimulating hormone? It actually stimulates the synthesis and secretion of thyroxine, which is actually the hormone from thyroid gland. Fourth one is the adrenocorticotropic hormone or ACTH. It stimulates the synthesis and secretion of steroid hormone called glucocorticoids from adrenal cortex. So just remember this particular statement. Just remember this particular statement over here. That is steroid hormones, glucocorticoids from adrenal cortex. So all the hormones released by the adrenal cortex are steroid hormone. So you have to study in this slide. Over secretion of growth hormone leads to gigantism. Low secretion of growth hormone leads to dwarfism. What is the function of prolactin? That is growth of mammary gland and formation of milk inside them. Thyroid stimulating hormone leads to the formation of thyroxine inside the thyroid gland and also helps in the basal metabolism. And adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulates the synthesis and secretion of the steroid hormones from adrenal cortex. The later half of the chapter, the next half of the hormones which we are going to discuss. Luteinizing hormone. Next hormone is the luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone synthesis and secretion of hormones called androgen in males. Luteinizing hormone secretion and synthesis of androgen in males and helps in ovulation, and in females it helps in ovulation and maintenance of corpus luteum and helps in maintenance and ovulation. It helps in ovulation and maintenance of corpus luteum in female. In case of human reproductive system, you might have studied about the LH surge, right? Am I right? You might have studied about the LH surge in case of human reproductive system. Next one is the follicle stimulating hormone or FSH. It regulates the process of spermatogenesis in males and growth and development of ovarian follicles in female. That is, it helps in the formation of follicles, or it helps in the production and formation of gametes. Next are the two hormones which are secreted by the posterior pituitary, that is oxytocin and vasopressin. Okay, oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin helps in the contraction of uterus during childbirth and also helps in the process of milk ejection from the mammary gland in female. Therefore, oxytocin, since it helps in the birth, it is known as the birth hormone. Just everybody take it down. Oxytocin is known as the birth hormone because it helps in the contraction of uterus for delivery, for parturition. Okay, it is known as the birth hormone. Exactly what is the function of vasopressin? It acts on the kidney. Stimulates the reabsorption of water and electrolytes by the kidney. It is also known as antidiuretic hormone, which is ADH. Antidiuretic hormone or ADH. Clear, everyone? Yes. Next is acromegaly. What do you mean by acromegaly? It is a condition when the pituitary gland, it is actually a disorder associated with the pituitary gland that makes too much of growth hormone. It is due to a tumor in the pituitary gland. So when a tumor develops inside the pituitary gland due to the overactivity of growth hormone, it leads to the presence or a formation of formation of a tumor. Person suffering from acromegaly. What do you mean by acro? Acro means tip. Megaly means enlargement. So tip enlargement, it causes acromegaly. Enlarged hand organism just get off. Next is the pineal gland. So this pineal is located on. Can you everyone? Have you noted out up to here? One second. Causes acromegaly. Enlarge the hand organism just get off. Next is the pineal gland. So this pineal is located on. Next is the pineal gland. So this pineal is located on. I'm hearing itself over here. So one second. Just refresh your page and come back and tell me now if it's clear or not. Everyone, now is it clear or not? Please tell me, everybody. Is it stuck? Is it stuck? Is the page what is actually the screen for you right now? Is it the slide or something else is the screen now? Oh my god, we have long. Is it the slide or something else is the screen now? Oh my god, we have long slide or something else is the screen now. Actually, it is stuck over there. Yes. Actually, it has got stuck. Wait, let me clarify that. Yes, now I hope everything is clear. Okay, we have up to 18 slides. Yes. Now is it fine and clear? My voice, the slides, everything, is it clear? Just give me thumbs up on the chat box. Let's move a bit faster to the class. Yes. My voice, the slides, everything, is it clear? Yes, thank you so much. So if the voice breaks in between, please tell me. So I hope this slide is also clear for you. Once again, let me remind you all everything. So the posterior pituitary gland is actually a storing house of the hypothalamic hormones of oxytocin and vasopressin. Pars intermedia is a melanocyte stimulating hormone. Pars distalis secrete GH, PRL, TSH, ACTH, LH and FSH hormones. Over-secretion of growth hormone leads to gigantism, which is the abnormal growth of the body. Low secretion of growth hormone leads to dwarfism, which is a stunted growth of the body. Prolactin is responsible for the production of milk and regulation of the mammary gland functioning. TSH, ACTH respective stimulates the adrenal cortex, ACTH, and stimulates the thyroid gland by TSH. And next one is a gonadotropins. It includes the LH and FSH. Clear? Can we move with the next one, everyone? It's 10, 16, 11 o'clock. You have the next class, right? So before that, I have to finish this chapter. Is it clear? Nobody is responding. No one is responding. Is it clear? Yes. So let's move on. So mark it along with me, everyone. Pineal gland secretes melatonin. Pineal gland secretes melatonin, which regulates a 24 hours rhythm which regulates the 24 hours rhythm and sleep-wake cycle, menstrual cycle, and pigmentation. Repeated MCQ question. Repeated MCQ question for Neet. So melatonin, it helps in the regulation of 24-hour cycle, sleep-wake cycle, menstrual cycle, and pigmentation. That is the main function of the melatonin, which is secreted by the pineal gland. Next is the thyroid gland. Next gland is the thyroid gland. So thyroid gland has two lobes on either side of the trachea. Thyroid gland has two lobes on either side of the trachea, which are interconnected by an isthmus. What is isthmus? It is a connective tissue. This thyroid gland is composed of follicles and stromal tissue. Composed of follicles and stromal tissue. The follicular cells secrete thyroxine. That is actually, what is thyroxine? It is tetraiodothyroxine and triiodothyroxine, which is T3 and T4. Okay, both are there. So T4 and T3 are there. T3 actually helps in what? Triiodothyroxine, and T4 is tetraiodothyroxine. And what is actually iodine helpful? Iodine is generally necessary for the normal functioning of the thyroid gland. That is for the production of thyroxine hormone. For the production of thyroxine hormone, iodine is an essential component. Goiter. Enlargement of the thyroid gland, that is hypothyroidism, may lead to mental retardation and stunted growth, which is known as cretinism. Deaf mutism in the baby if it is occurs during pregnancy. So when the thyroxine is getting lowered inside, the production of thyroxine is getting lowered inside the body, leads to cretinism in children and myxedema in adult. Myxedema in adult, cretinism in children, and hypothyroidism. And what is the next one? If it is secreted in excess amount, it is called hyperthyroidism. It occurs due to cancer or due to the development of nodule. You might have seen in the films and all, you might have heard from your relatives or anybody, if it is they are having a thyroid enlargement and all, you will be having development. There are some nodules in the thyroid glands. There are 5 to 6. Instead, they have more nodules. There are less nodules. The nodules are getting enlarged, right? So actually the development of the nodules, or it may occur due to the occurrence of cancer in the thyroid gland also, you can have hyperthyroidism thyroid gland. Definitely the sample or specimen would be sent for biopsy for for detecting the cancerous cells are present there or not. Okay, because the enlargement of nodules of thyroid glands occurs mainly due to the presence of cancerous tumors over there. So in order to test that, we send it for the biopsy test. Clear? Affects body physiology as abnormal high levels of thyroid hormones are synthesized. Exothalamic goiter. What do you mean by exothalamic goiter? It is a form of hyperthyroidism characterized by the enlargement of thyroid gland, protrusion of the eyeball, and the increased basal metabolic rate. Increased basal metabolic rate. Increased basal metabolic rate, enlargement of the thyroid gland, and protrusion of the eyeball. Is it clear? Is it clear for everyone? Next, thyroid gland also helps in thyroid gland also controls protein carbohydrate metabolism. Very important MCQ. So here you have to study pineal gland secrete melatonin. It regulates 24-hour rhythm, sleep-wake cycle, menstrual cycle, pigmentation. Frequently repeated MCQ question in your exams. Thyroid gland has two main lobes on either side of the trachea connected by the isthmus. They are composed of follicles and stromal tissues. They synthesize thyroxine T4 and triiodothyroxine, which is T3. Iodine is essential commodity for the functioning of the thyroid gland. Goiter about the hyperthyroidism, which leads to what? Cretinism. And hyperthyroidism, which occurs due to cancer or development of nodules inside the thyroid gland. Is it clear for everyone? And also the thyroid gland secrete one particular protein hormone also. One particular protein hormone known as thyrocalcitonin. Okay, it releases one more hormone which is known as the thyrocalcitonin, which regulates the blood calcium level, which carries the blood calcium level. Is it clear for everyone? Is it clear? Yes. So let me check how many slides are left out. Yes, a bit more. Anyway, I'm going to complete this chapter. Okay, then only we are going to leave the class. Next one is the parathyroid gland. Next thing is the parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland is present at the back side of your thyroid gland. The clear diagram is mentioned in your NCRT. Okay, the clear diagram is specifically mentioned in the NCRT. So the parathyroid gland, which is present on the back side of the thyroid gland. Each lobe of the thyroid gland has one pair. Each lobe of the thyroid gland has one pair. It secretes the peptide hormone. It secretes the peptide hormone called parathyroid hormone. So we have studied about a protein hormone called thyrocalcitonin in thyroid gland. In parathyroid, we are studying about a peptide hormone, exactly protein hormone, parathyroid hormone itself, and steroid hormone glucocorticoids, which we will study in the adrenal gland over here. In this case, we will study about the steroid hormones. So, parathyroid hormone produces a hypercalcemic hormone, very important term. Very important term is hypercalcemic. Okay, parathormone. You will call it as a parathyroid hormone, or you can call it as parathormone. Right? I think Calvin has asked a doubt on this one time. Is parathyroid hormone and parathormone are different or not? Someone have asked me the doubt. I think it's Calvin. Right? So parathormone and parathyroid hormone are the same. So they are the peptide hormone which are produced by the parathyroid gland, which is present on the backside of the thyroid gland, and it increases the calcium level in the body. It is a hypercalcemic hormone. It is a hypercalcemic hormone. Look at its function. It stimulates bone reabsorption and reabsorption of calcium from the blood, reabsorption of calcium by renal tubules, and thus increasing the blood calcium level, So this is a very frequently repeated MCQ question for AIMS and AIPMT NEET. So in all the exams this have been frequently asked, AIMS, AIPMT and NEET, that is hypercalcemic, hypocalcemic hormones and all. So hypercalcemic hormone means they increase the level of calcium in the blood. They increase the level of calcium in the blood. Okay. Okay, everyone. Yes. Next is the thymus gland. So I'll mark it for you first of all, and then let's move on. So parathyroid hormone are present on the back side of the thyroid gland. Each lobe of thyroid gland is one pair. It secretes a peptide hormone. It secretes a peptide hormone called the parathyroid hormone, which is hypercalcemic in function. It stimulates bone reabsorption of calcium from the blood, reabsorption of calcium by renal tubules, and thus increasing the blood calcium level. Is it clear? So let's now move on with the discussion with thymus gland. Next, let's move on with the thymus gland. Thymus gland is located on the dorsal side of the heart and aorta. So thymus gland is located on the basal side of the heart and aorta. It also secretes a peptide hormone. After the class, I'll provide a table. By evening, I hope I don't have the device to take out the PDFs. Okay, so by evening I'll send you what I will definitely send you a particular table which leaves us the different types of hormones and its category. Yes, Shashank. good evening. Sorry, good morning. Actually, normally we take class in the evening, right? So, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Everything is getting to be confused. Okay? So, the thymus gland secretes a peptide hormone which is known as thymosin. Thymosin, which play a role in differentiation of T lymphocyte and helps in cell-mediated immunity. Cell-mediated immunity. Thymosin also produce antibodies and provide humoral immunity. Immunity of old people usually becomes weak as thymus gets degenerated with age. As thymus gets degenerated as thymus gets degenerated with age. Okay, so what is a hormone secreted by the thymus gland? Thymus is actually secreting a hormone which is known as thymosin, which is a peptide hormone which helps in the differentiation of T lymphocytes, which helps in the differentiation of T lymphocytes. It helps in cell mediated immunity. Thymosin also produce antibodies and provide humoral immunity. Immunity of, yes, CMI, cell-mediated immunity, and thymosin helps in the differentiation of T lymphocyte. Thymosin also produce antibodies and provide humoral immunity, and this particular thymus glands get degenerated as the person becomes older. Clear? So, the next gland we are going to discuss in detail is the adrenal gland. So adrenal gland, you all know what is adrenal gland. If this is a kidney, above the kidney a cap-like structure, above the kidney a cap-like structure, right? So this particular cap-like structure, right? This particular cap-like structure present above each kidney, you will call it as what? The adrenal gland. Am I right? So this particular structure itself is the adrenal gland. Am I right? Yes. So they're located at the anterior part of each kidney. They have a centrally located centrally located adrenal medulla and periphery in the adrenal cortex, and the outer region. Oh my god. They have the outer region. Okay, the outer region, exactly like the kidney also. Kidney also have the outer region as cortex, and the inner part is the medulla, and the inner one is the medulla. Just like that, the adrenal gland also has an outer cortex and an inner medulla. Okay, the adrenal gland also has an outer cortex and an inner medulla. Is it clear? I hope the 11 p.m. class will not take place because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slides more. Okay, anyway, I'll complete this chapter and clarify all your doubts with this chapter. Clear? So let's move on with the detail of adrenal medulla. So adrenal medulla secretes adrenaline or epinephrine. Adrenal medulla secretes adrenaline or epinephrine and non-adrenaline and non-epinephrine. Very important MCQs. So you all know that adrenaline is associated with the sympathetic nervous system, right? So the adrenal medulla, that is the adrenaline, is always associated with the sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system. It is commonly known as catecholamines. It is commonly known as catecholamines or emergency hormones or hormones of fight or flight. Is it clear? So adrenal cortex is there. Adrenal cortex is there, which produces a group of hormones known as glucocorticoids. Exactly. Medulla produces hormones, which is hormone of flight and fight. That is adrenal catecholamines or emergency hormones or adrenaline excitatory hormones. epinephrine and non-epinephrine, adrenaline or non-adrenaline. Yes, these hormones increases the heartbeat, rate of respiration, break, etc. Main parts. The are goodness. 1 second. Let me refresh it. I think it's because of using voice cracked. If I usually, but okay, hear me properly. Tell me now. Is it clear? Just tell me, guys. Or now also the audio is breaking. Just tell me, guys. Yes. Now also the audio is breaking. So before it gets loose next time, let's complete the lesson. Or else I have to move it to the next lecture, which is not a possible thing. Okay, so mainly it is of three kinds. That is, adrenal cortex can mainly be divided into two: zona reticularis, zona fasciculata, zona glomerulosa. Inner layer, middle layer, and outer layer. So the adrenal cortex, as I have already mentioned you, adrenal cortex secrete glucocorticoids. Okay, glucocorticoids, androgenic steroids, glucocorticoids. Androgenic steroids are secreted in small amounts. They play a very important role in axial, pubic, and facial hair growth during puberty. Okay, and the glucocorticoids is involved in carbohydrate metabolism. Previous year MCQ question. It stimulates gluconeogenesis. Very important. I'm going to erase the other things on this slide because this is a very important point which I'm telling right now. It stimulates gluconeogenesis. Please bookmark this. Glucocorticoid stimulates gluconeogenesis, lipolysis, and proteolysis. Very, very important. Frequently made wrong by the students. Proteolysis, lipolysis, gluconeogenesis. Three things are very important. Okay, cortisol, which is involved in cardiovascular and kidney function, it also suppresses the immune system and stimulates the RBC production. Listen very carefully. Glucocorticoids, it helps in gluconeogenesis, lipolysis, and proteolysis. Okay, cortisol is an example for glucocorticoids. It is involved in the cardiovascular and kidney function. It also suppresses the immune response and stimulates the RBC production. Calvin, tell me yes or no on the chat box if it's clear. If it's clear, tell me yes or no on the chat box. Yes. Next one is the mineralocorticoids. What is actually mineralocorticoids? It regulates the balance of water and electrolytes in the body. It regulates the concentration or regulation, the balance of water and electrolytes in the body. For example, aldosterone. For example, is the aldosterone, which also helps in the reabsorption of sodium. Aldosterone, very important, very important, 100% important MCQ. Aldosterone helps in the reabsorption of sodium and water, sodium and water, excretion of potassium and phosphate ions from the renal tubules. When adrenal cortex is damaged, it does not produce enough cortisol, which and aldosterone. It results in Addison's disease. So deficiency of cortisol results in deficiency of aldosterone, and cortisol results in Addison's disease. So what is meant by Addison's disease? It is caused due to the deficiency when adrenal cortex is damaged. It leads to results in Addison's disease. The symptoms are weak muscle, extreme fatigue, increased skin pigmentation, weight loss, sores in the mouth, and depression are the main symptoms of what? Addison's disease. Yes, everyone. The two major causes. Primary adrenal insufficiency, where our immunity system mistakes adrenal for an antigen and tries to damage it. Okay, when are the condition when Addison's disease are causing? Number one, when the adrenal itself, the secretion of adrenal itself is found to be as an antigen by your body and tries to destroy the entire thing. Second one, insufficiency, when the pituitary gland cannot produce sufficient amount of ACTH. What is it? Stimulating hormone, right? Stimulating hormone. So when the pituitary gland is not able to make the sufficient amount of ACTH, that is a stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic stimulating hormone, what happens? It can also lead to Addison's disease or reduction in the particular. Next term is the pancreas. Next gland is the pancreas. Very easy, you know it, very simple. It is a composite gland, it is a dual gland, it is a hexocrine gland, it is a mixocrine gland, it is a heterocrine gland, composite, dual. So it is a composite gland, it is a dual gland. It consists of both exocrine part, it consists of both endocrine part. So it is heterocrine in nature, it is mixocrine in nature, all these things you know. It contains about 1 to 2 million islets of Langerhans. Very important cell's name. Very important cell is islets of Langerhans. It is actually the endocrine part of the pancreas, which has glucagon secreting alpha cells and insulin secreting beta cells. So I'm telling right now on the point of basis of your NCERT class 11th. Not more than that, you have the delta cells also. Normally when the students hear this for the first time, repeatedly they'll tell, when we are taking the class and all, we'll be telling like the pancreas, the islets of Langerhans contains 3 cells, alpha, beta. So what is the next one? Everybody will comment as gamma. So is it gamma? No, it is delta cells. Okay, it is alpha, beta and delta cell. What are Greek letters? Alpha, beta and delta cells. Okay, so the glucagon is a peptide. Glucagon is a peptide hormone. Glucagon is a peptide hormone which stimulates glycogenolysis. What was the thing which we studied in the last thing? Gluconeogenesis. Glucocorticoids helps in gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis by glucocorticoids. Glucagon stimulates glycogenolysis and also stimulates gluconeogenesis. It is called hyperglycemic hormone. Insulin is again a peptide hormone which acts on hepatocytes and adipocytes. This is a frequently asked MCQ statement. Insulin acts on hepatocytes and adipocytes to enhance the cellular glucose uptake, stimulates the conversion of glucose to glycogen, that is gluconeogenesis. Glycogenesis, so decreased blood glucose level, so it is a hypoglycemic hormone. Deficiency of insulin, very important, just mark it off. Deficiency of insulin causes diabetes mellitus, in which The loss of glucose occurs through the urine. Excessive hunger and thirst are symptoms of diabetes. So this is a frequently asked MCQ question between diabetes and diabetes mellitus, diabetes insipidus. Next, what we are going to study is a very important one, that is insulin and glucagon are antagonistic hormone, that is they play opposite role. This is not opposite, opposite. OPP, it's a spelling mistake, opposite. Then glycogenolysis. What do you mean by glycogenolysis? It is the breaking of glycogen into glucose. Number one. Gluconeogenesis. What do you mean by gluconeogenesis? Lysis means breaking. Genesis means formation. So spermatogenesis, oogenesis, gametogenesis. So gluconeogenesis means formation of glucose from substances other than glycogen. Second one completed. Third one is glycogenesis. Glycogenesis, conversion of glucose to glycogen, that is formation of glycogen. Is it clear, Calvin? Give me a thumbs up on the chat box if this slide is clear. I hope I have moved a bit fast, but I hope this is an easy one and you know this, and I have mentioned each and every point clearly, clarified each one of your doubts, and I have moved forward. Is it clear? We have 3 to 4 more slides left out. Any doubts related to adrenal gland or pancreas? Any doubts related to islets of Langerhans, glucagon, insulin, gluconeogenesis, glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis, glycogenesis? All these things are pakka clear for everybody. Let's get moved. Gonads, that is testes in case of males and ovary in case of females. A pair of testes composed of seminiferous tubule and interstitial cells is present in the scrotal sac of the male. The Leydig cell, which is interstitial cell, produce androgen, mainly testosterone. Which regulate the development and maturation of male accessory sex organ. Formation of secondary sexual character, and play a stimulatory role in spermatogenesis and play an important role in spermatogenesis. Ovaries produce one ovum in each menstrual cycle. Ovary composed of ovarian follicles and stromal tissue, exactly in a thyroid gland also. Estrogen is actually produced by the ovary, which synthesizes the ovarian follicle, which helps in the stimulation of female secondary sexual character, female behavior, mammary gland formation, and female secondary sexual characters. That is a main function of testis and ovary in case. So testis, Leydig cells, androgen, testosterone. Development and maturation of male accessory glands, secondary sexual character, play important role in spermatogenesis. Ovum is actually producing one ovum per each menstrual cycle. It produces a particular hormone called estrogen, which helps in the growth of ovarian follicle, which is also very essential for the development of female secondary sexual characters. Can we move on to the last one? The ruptured follicle from corpus luteum secretes progesterone, which we will study in detail in the chapter Human Reproduction. So here you have to study only the thing: testis produces testosterone, ovary produces estrogen. That's the only thing. Okay. Then we are going to discuss about the different hormones which are secreted by the tissues which are not endocrine glands. So there are certain substance or certain glands which are not actually endocrine gland, but they are tissues, but they secrete hormones. First one is the heart. So heart is a particular organ itself. So atrial wall secrete a particular hormone called ANF, atrial natriuretic factor. Just take it down, everybody. Heart, atrial wall of the heart secretes atrial natriuretic factor. Atrial natriuretic factor. So atrial wall secretes atrial natriuretic factor ANF, which secretes or which decreases the blood pressure. Which it decreases the blood pressure. MCQ question. Dilation of the blood vessel. Second one is the kidney. The juxtaglomerular cell. The juxtaglomerular cell secretes a particular hormone which is known as erythropoietin, which stimulates erythropoiesis or RBC formation. Repeated question. 2019 Neet MCQ. 2019 Neet MCQ question. Third one is the gastrointestinal tract. Gastrointestinal tract. It secretes 4 peptide hormone. Gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, and one is in the next page, that is gastric inhibitory peptide. GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide, cholecystokinin, CCK, and secretin and gastrin. What is actually the function of gastrin? Its act on the gastric gland stimulates the secretion of hydrochloric acid and pepsinogen. Gastrin, gastric glands will act. It acts on the gastric gland and stimulates the secretion of hydrochloric acid and pepsinogen. What is the function of secretin? Act on the pancreas, stimulates the secretion of water and bicarbonation. What is cholecystokinin? What is its function? It acts on the pancreas and gallbladder to stimulate the secretion of pancreatic juice and bile juice respectively. So what is cholecystokinin? It stimulates the secretion of pancreatic juice and bile juice by informing or conveying information to gallbladder and pancreas respectively. And the last one is gastric inhibitory peptide. It inhibits the gastric secretion and its motility. Clear, everyone? Is it clear? Is it clear for everybody? Yes. Next, the last topic is the mechanism of hormone action. Mechanism of hormone action is known as feedback mechanism. It's known as feedback mechanism. That is when a particular organ or when a particular gland is producing hormone in excess of amount, this feedback mechanism, negative feedback mechanism, will suppress its release. And if the hormone is secreted under score only, then what positive feedback mechanism acts on them, and you can call it as to be that it increases the action of hormones. Clear? So there are two mainly mechanism of hormone action by hormones are of two kinds. That is, certain hormones are located on the membrane of the target cells and certain are located on the inside of the target cell. Those located on the membrane of the target cell are membrane-bound receptors. Those located at the inner of the target cell are intracellular receptors. So membrane-bound receptors and intracellular receptors. Membrane-bound receptors from hormone receptor complex, it leads to the biochemical changes in the tissues, release of secondary messengers like cyclic AMP, IP3, calcium 2+ ions. Okay, so what are the different mechanisms available for membrane-bound receptors? They form a membrane receptor complex. Very important. Biochemical changes occurs in the tissue. Secondary messengers are formed, that is cyclic AMP, IP3, Ca2+ are all what? They all are actually what? Secondary messengers. They all are actually what? Secondary messengers. They are located inside the target cells. Next is the hormones, that is steroid hormones, iodothyronins, etc. interact with them and cause physiological and developmental effect after regulating the gene expression. Is it clear, Calvin? Both this mechanism of hormone action, specifically I'll send you a detailed note by evening. Okay, by evening I'll definitely send a detailed note of this. NCRT extract and for the detailed notes also for this, which will definitely help you a lot about this. Is it clear? Yes. So that's all for today's class. Once again, those who are watching the session and those who are gonna watch the session afterwards, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe our wonderful YouTube channel of BioPoint, Stream the World of Bio. So Calvin, it's almost equal to 10:52. So 11 class is not there. If I reschedule it in this day today itself, I'll inform you, or else we'll take the chapter tomorrow. Okay, anyway, so this is your first chapter of human physiology. Once again, I'm taking chemical coordination integration is completed. So work out hard on the MCQs. As I've already mentioned, you've taken a separate lecture on there is no further reduction in the syllabus, but options are provided. So this is the golden opportunity where you are to crack your exam. So make sure that you crack this Neet 2021 itself without any kind of further delays. So work out to its maximum. So thank you guys. See you in the next class with some other session. Thank you so much.